Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back. If you don't know, One Piece has surpassed 600 million sales on the manga end of things, which means it is now superior to Superman. If you're a Superman fan watching this, you're probably gonna get a little bit salty. I'm not gonna lie to you, because my Superman knowledge, especially when it comes to the comic books, is not up to par. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and this was a very spur of the moment kind of thing, so bear with me. But we're going to talk a little bit about Superman versus Luffy. I know that sounds a little bit heinous, that sounds a little bit crazy. You guys might think I'm pretty cooked for thinking Luffy can't stand in front of Superman, but I will say this, it's honestly a pretty weird match, right? Because they both have win conditions, basically, like super simple win conditions on Superman's side. More though, because Luffy is a devil fruit eater, so he is weak to seawater, and Superman obviously has a similar weakness, right? Because he is weak to kryptonite. That's basically going to power him down. Basically has like the exact same effect as seawater does to a devil fruit user. So they could actually pretty easily win this battle, right? If Luffy had some kryptonite and like Superman, like if he can move Luffy to the ocean, brother, it would be a pretty easy fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. The more inland we make this fucking battle, like the better Luffy's odds are, which is pretty funny. So we'll put it in the center of the United States. And another thing, when it comes to the battlefield, I do believe that the more buildings and the more humans there are, I think that actually is an advantage for Luffy. Because I'm saying this pretty ironically, but Luffy has used human shields before, or he was at least willing to, right? He was willing to use York as a human shield to break the blockade on Egghead. So if Luffy starts grabbing random civilians, Superman might have a moral quandary about that. Let me clarify a little bit. I am kind of talking about the animated version of Superman in the Justice League and in the Batman and Superman show. In the cartoon, I think Luffy would dog walk that Superman. I'm not gonna lie to you, Luffy would bitch that Superman, because they're fighting like street level opponents for the most part. Superman might have fought in some aliens, or like I might have missed an episode, but especially in Batman and Superman, I feel like they're just fighting street level guys, and I feel like Superman is very touchable in that show. Like they're like he's fighting Lex Luthor and shit like that, and Luffy would just body Lex Luthor. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Henry Cavill's Superman, because that's the Superman I'm just most familiar with at this moment in time, that I have the most knowledge on. That, and I actually just enjoy Henry Cavill as an actor. He's a bit too stoic in some roles he has, but Henry Cavill was war farming a lot as the Man of Steel. So like I said, I think if it's in the middle of the United States and like a crowded city, that would be really advantageous for Luffy. So also Luffy can like turn more things into rubber with his awakening. Like he'd be turning buildings into rubber, and it could just make for an overall harder fight for Superman. So I don't know, like I really don't want to put this fight in a void, but you know, it's not going to matter too much, right? Let's just hop into it a little bit. Use your imagination for where we are putting these characters. Like I said, if it's in a crowded city in the middle of America, Luffy has a way better chance of winning that fight. So one last point before we break down, I didn't do damn near any research on Superman, but I mean, when we think of Superman, we all know like who we're talking about. There might be some slight discrepancies, but if we put Superman in the One Piece verse, I feel like it's very likely, especially if he was like the main character, that he would have Haki. He would have Conqueror's armament and observation. He probably has something like this in the comic books. He probably has something akin to observation. If we put them in a neutral battlefield, I feel like he would be able to defend against Conquerors and armament like fine. But I think the advanced Conquerors / advanced armament, Luffy learned the advanced armament in the prison, and then he figured out how to apply that technique with Conqueror's Haki. So he can basically shoot his excess Conqueror's Haki, or however much he wants, damn near, I feel like, directly into Superman, and this is bypassing defenses. This is a problem. His advanced conquerors. But I would say if we dropped Superman into the One Piece verse, he would have some kind of Haki. He would be able to defend against it. So what I'm thinking right now is we're gonna put them in pretty much a neutral battlefield, and he can defend a little bit against it. Like, if he is hit with Advanced Conqueror's Haki and he is caught off guard, I feel like that could do some serious damage. And when we start talking about Luffy's techniques, I feel like he could catch Superman off guard, because I feel like Superman does have something akin to Observation Haki, but I just don't know what it is. So let me know. I mean, when we're just talking about, like, consciousness, right? He is able to keep up with the Flash. We'll talk about this. Like, I'm just gonna say it right now but you could make an argument that he is so fast, Luffy would not be able to touch him, and he could just one-shot Luffy. I don't really like that, so that's why we're not just saying that. But in the Justice League, when the Flash was running, he was doing some task or whatever the fuck they told Ezra Miller to do, Superman is able to keep up with the Flash when he's using the Speed Force, I believe. And Henry Cavill is mocking Ezra Miller in that scene, which is a problem, right? If he's going that much faster than the Flash, like, he's comfortably keeping pace with the Flash. And, you know, when I say that, I guess we're just talking about their speed now. Luffy did fight Kizaru, who basically is the fastest in the verse. In Film Red, Shanks kind of blitzes him, and at Marineford, Ben Beckman kind of blitzes him. That's cap. That's not real at all. Film Red is especially not real. Yeah, I think Kizaru is one of the fastest in the verse, and Luffy is pretty much for that entire fight. Obviously on Egghead, he's keeping pace with them pretty much the whole fight. I think for like one moment, Kizaru maybe ran away for like a second. I feel like Superman and the Flash are faster than light speed. I feel like that just sounds right to me, especially if you're gonna like scale the comics. But that's just like cap to me, especially when we're talking about like Henry Cavill, Superman. He was mogging Ezra Miller in that scene, but obviously insanely fast. I think if I had to say which one is faster, I might say Luffy is a little bit faster, especially for adding Toon Force, which I'm not talking a lot about the Toon Force really, because it's not like fourth wall breaking Toon Force yet. I mean, in the anime it kind of is, but yeah, I'm not using like full Toon Force really for Luffy. We're talking a little bit about their strength now. Luffy obviously fought Kaido, who is supposed to be the strongest in the world, but Superman has a feat that's like honestly just like in the comic books. I just know this feat, so I went back and checked with AI, but apparently with Shazam, he's able to lift a book that has infinite pages. I guess it like is imprinted with souls or something like that. Like I told you, I'm not a comic book reader. I don't really like that feat. I'm not gonna lie to you. That feat feels like cap to me, not gonna lie. And he was with Shazam. Like obviously infinite divided by 2 is still infinite. So it's not really that big a problem to me. It's just, it's cap to me. I don't really, I don't want to include that because then it's not really a fight, right? So with Superman, we kind of have to nerf him to make this even a possibility, which may say something about what the outcome of this match would actually be. But like I said, Luffy fought Kaido, who was supposed to be the strongest in the world. He did kind of prove it low-key, just being able to fight. He fought all the samurai, and then he fought Kid, Killer, Zoro, Luffy, Yamato. And I feel like if Luffy didn't, you know, come back from the dead in Awakening Gear 5, I think I forgot Law, but if all of them came back at full HP, we give all of them senzu beans as well, I feel like Kaido would still run all of them down. I feel like Luffy did a lot of the damage in that fight. a lot of the damage. They were all getting damage off already, and it really just wasn't doing anything, right? So Kaido's defense, to be able to put Kaido down, that's going to take a lot of force, which is obviously what we're talking about. Luffy does have a lot of strength, and he's shifty with it, with his techniques especially. I'm thinking the most about when he was fighting Rob Lucci, how bendy and how hard to follow his punches and kicks actually were. Brother, when he did that gear third parallel, the speed plus the spin is gonna be really hard for Superman, I feel like Superman's gonna get hit by one of these. He's gonna get hit by one of these, and if that advanced Conqueror's Haki is going through his defenses, it's gonna be a problem. Like, I don't know. And also just Conqueror's Haki in general. Superman, Henry Cavill, was corrupted in that movie. I forget exactly how it happened, but he was like an evil version of himself for a moment in time, so this man is mentally touchable. And I know Conqueror's Haki is not exactly attacking your brain or whatever you want to say, it's attacking your will. But Luffy, like, I don't think just like raw Conqueror's Haki would put Superman down, but if he like bursts, if Luffy does a burst of raw Conqueror's Haki and then follows it up with a shifty ass punch with advanced Conqueror's Haki, I don't know, I feel like that's cooking the animated Superman, and might cook Henry Cavill too, I'm not gonna lie to you. Kind of talked a little bit about how Luffy fights. He obviously has all the Haki. His punches are extremely hard to follow, especially when we're talking about Gear 5th and stuff like Snake Man. I feel like if he was using that Snake Man technique where his fist bounces off the air and becomes even faster and harder to follow, I feel like he can definitely combine that with advanced Conqueror's Haki now as well. One of those hit Superman in the noggin, he might go down. Like, especially with the advanced Conquerors. Superman could probably dodge, but just tanking like a star gun or something like that, I don't know about that, Chief. I do not know about that. Especially the animated one. And even like Henry Cavill's Superman, I feel like if Luffy hit him with a star gun right to the noggin, it would affect him. I definitely feel that. So yeah, that's basically all I have, just recapping a little bit, because I think most of you guys would say that Superman would just win this fight off rip, but it's actually like a little bit closer when I'm thinking about like certain scenes, right? It's just a little bit closer to me, so I'll make the case for Luffy a little bit more. If we're talking about speed, we've seen him keep up with Kizaru, who is the fastest in the One Piece verse. I'm very confident in saying that. He's top 1 in speed, damn near in the verse. When we're talking about power, he fought Kaido, who strongest in the land, sea, and air. That was one of his titles, or whatever you want to call it. That's what people call them. So that's a problem. That's a lot of wank, I'm not gonna lie to you. And then when we're talking about just some of their technical abilities, we've seen Luffy eat a laser beam, which is like the only hacks ability I feel like Superman has that is really, like, Superman has a bunch of different abilities, but I feel like the laser beam is kind of like the most iconic one that he has. I feel like he has like X-ray vision and different shit like that, but Luffy could damn near eat Superman's laser beams. I feel like Luffy would touch Superman, I'm not going to lie to you. Just the way he fights, he has observation Haki. He's extremely skilled with his devil fruit. The way he's able to maneuver with his devil fruit, he's gonna catch Superman off guard. Like, that X-ray vision is not doing shit against. Literally, it's like so hard to follow, especially the Dawn Whip, especially in the anime. It's gonna be too hard for Superman to follow. And then the cherry on top, or the final nail in the coffin, is the Advanced Conquerors. If we put Superman in the One Piece verse, I feel like he could tank it a little better. But especially the Advanced Conqueror's Haki, flowing your Haki into Superman's body, I feel like that would do damage to him. I don't know, shit. Oh yeah, one last thing real quick. Superman, when we're talking about the animated series, I feel like he was flying pretty standardly, right? Like, in Man of Steel, it was like his flying was like him jumping really fucking hard, and that's how he would fly. But I feel like in the animated shit, and probably in like different comic books, he can just fly like straight up, right? And I think it is a bit in those moments where he can fly straight up, I feel like it is more effortless for him to fly compared to Luffy. Like, Luffy can fly, but I feel like it's going to take more effort for him. It really does feel like he's just levitating sometimes, especially in the anime. It's like he's levitating, but that I'm not okay with, right? Him just levitating, I don't really like. So I'll nerf Luffy a little bit. I'll nerf the anime version of Luffy a little bit. He's definitely very floaty. He can use skywalk, and he can turn clouds into rubber, so he could like walk on clouds and shit like that. But I feel like it is more effortless for Superman to fly compared to Luffy. So if we take this into the air, it might be a problem for Luffy. Not gonna lie. Strength wise, Superman is obviously extremely strong. Just with that extremely hard jump that he does to fly, if he jumped out Luffy like that and just, it might be over right there. So like I said, Luffy can take a lot of damage. It was either the second or third episode after he awakened Gear 5, but it was like an entire episode of him just getting fucked up by Kaido. So he has high ass defenses. But like I said, there's a lot of force coming from Superman. There's a lot of mass times acceleration. And then if we're talking about comics, he has a plethora of abilities, both Superman and Luffy, but we talked less about Superman's because I didn't read the comics. But I know he just has a bunch of bullshit that we're not even going to talk about. But the laser beams, I do feel like Luffy could low-key eat those because he did that to Kizaru. He took a lot of damage from Kizaru. But I feel like he could actually kind of eat Superman's light beams, maybe like shoot it back at him. Like, that might do some damage. That might do some fucking damage. After breaking all that down, let me know, guys, do you think this fight is actually more interesting than you thought it was before you watched this video? Let me know. There are comparable feats on both sides pretty much when it comes to power and speed. If we're talking about like the Book of Infinite Pages, and I know there's some shit, there's some bullshit, but we have to kind of like cherry pick which Superman we want, right? If we're One Piece fans, I think overall, if it was a completely neutral verse, my gut, I mean, Luffy is so shifty. He is so shifty, especially in Gear 5. How he moves, how he attacks. It's gonna be hard to hit him in Gear 5. Superman isn't really bloodlusted like that, but we've seen Luffy blitz Kizaru in base, going for kill shots, using advanced conquerors. So I don't know, guys. Honestly, I don't know. We have to kind of cherry pick which Superman we want. Henry Cavill's Superman, that's actually like a pretty decent fight. I feel like I would barely give it to Luffy. Like, it would be hard. It would be a harder fight than Kaido, I'm not gonna lie. And Kaido was a demon with it, but it would be a slightly harder fight than Kaido. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Luffy barely. I'm barely leaning towards Luffy, but let me know what you guys thought about this video. Let me know who you think would win, Luffy or Superman. Let me know what you thought about my analysis. Let me know what you thought I got wrong. From the One Piece side, it was not a lot of headcanon, but from the Superman side, it was a lot of headcanon. So let me know like specific feats if you want. But yeah, guys, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. Thanks again.